So hey guys, it's your boy Vandal, and I'm coming back to you guys with another video. Today's a little bit different because we're going to be talking about Death Note 2020. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more content on this channel where I do drawing videos, where I talk about anime. What are we here for today? We're here to talk about Death Note 2020. I have so many thoughts that I want to get off of my chest. First of all, we're going to go through a quick recap. So Death Note 2020 is like the first manga in like 10 years or 20 years or some odd number of years since the creator, the artist, and the writer pair both made the manga. So they decided, I guess, to do it for some like anniversary thing. I'm not sure. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. The creator basically made this one shot. It's 87 pages. It's an amazing 87 pages, to say the least. It's about our main character. I think his name is Tanaka. I don't remember his name, but he looked really cool, and I loved his character design. And it starts off with Ryu coming back. Oh, wait, before I even get into the story, spoilers. All right, I did my job. Ryu comes back, taps the main character over the head with a book. All of his memories come flooding back into him, and we get taken through a flashback of how he met Ryuk and why Ryuk did all that he did. And apparently Ryuk's doing this because he's bored again with Earth and he wants to have some more fun and he wants apples. Very, very simple premise. So he goes to Earth, he finds like the smartest boy because he thinks that smart people after Kira are going to be the ones that give him the most fun because they think of new inventive ways to use the Death Note that can keep him around for a little bit longer. So he comes, he meets the boy, and the boy figures out, I guess Tanaka figures out that it's the Death Note, it's what Kira used, and it's also a little bit interesting because you can see a little bit that the world has changed since Kira did what he did. People know about him, people talk about him, and the way history has written him as a villain. However, there's like this small cultish group that might have cultivated his like everlasting life or whatever his legacy was before he died. The boy decides that he wants to tell Ryuk to come see him after like 2 years. There's one thing that's very interesting at the beginning of the book that I don't understand, where it's 2013 and one of the Shinigami comes back to Ryuk and talks to him about something not working, and I really don't understand that part. That's the only part of the manga I don't get. If you know what that means, maybe it's like some other supplementary stuff, let me know in the comments because I need to know what that whole part was about. We go back, he gives him that time skip whatever because he needs to come up with a plan to how to use the Death Note. And you know, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, okay, this dude's, he's gonna get corrupted, he's gonna go down Kira's path. And you know, I love that I had that thought in my head because when I think about it, I guess I was lured into the suspicions of him being just like Kira, because I think anybody who'd be the Death Note would want to like emulate Kira, but this guy, his motivations were a little bit, I would say a little shallow, because I mean, you only have 87 pages, so I didn't understand why he did what he did, but what he did was pretty interesting nonetheless. So he decided to do something that I guess anybody would do, and maybe somebody's posited the question, what would you do if you had the Death Note and you could sell it? And he did it. He put it up for auction. He's tried to sell it. He sold it to the highest bidder, and things were going crazy. And during that time, we got introduced to Nier. And I wasn't a fan of his new like character design. He was way cooler in that little drawing that they did before the manga came out. Afterwards, all that long hair business, he looked kind of whack. Not gonna lie. It was cool seeing him. Then the bids just keep coming in. And then we get some callbacks to Matsuda coming because he can see the Shinigami because he's touched the Death Note before, because the main character sends Ryuk to the TV station with a sign saying that he's going to auction off the Death Note, and that's how everyone gets to know about it, because he didn't want to be connected. Because one of the other things that this Death Note realizes and acknowledges is that technology has changed in the past few years and things operate a lot differently, so it's not as easy to do things without getting caught on the internet. So that was the most innovative way to how to get around that. He used Ryuk since no one could see him and everyone would just see like a floating sign. So he would hold it up and then everyone saw it and then people started bidding. And then one of the craziest part is like international people started bidding, and then we got Donald Trump involved. Donald Trump was the weirdest part of this all, and it's so funny when manga just decides that they want to put someone into their own manga. And at one point I was like, oh shit, is he gonna get the Death Note? If Donald Trump gets the Death Note, we're all gonna die. So eventually he puts an end to the bidding of the Death Note. One interesting thing happens is that Ryuk midway gets called away to the Shinigami King, who apparently wants to talk to him for some reason, which will also come back later, which is just plot. Then after that, we come to the part where he stops the bidding, and then the winner apparently is America, and Donald Trump actually wins the Death Note, which is fucking like crazy. I couldn't believe Donald Trump won the Death Note. So I was just like, all right, how's this gonna go? Is he gonna kill Donald Trump? I really thought he was gonna do that. I was like, oh shit, it's gonna get really political. It happened. He made a plan where he could get the money without them knowing, which was one of my favorite parts, where he gives away all of the money. I think it's like $500 billion or whatever, but everyone in Japan who deposited their money at a certain bank, they got, I think, like 1 billion yen, and everyone was mad happy, and it was great. And Nier couldn't figure out what was the motive behind why he did what he did, and he wanted to get to meet him, but he actually lost. And everyone got their money in the end. Ryu got to have a little bit of fun, and then he gave away the Death Note and gave it to Donald Trump. Donald Trump got it. During that time, we figured out why Ryuk went away earlier, and it was because he had gotten a message from the Shinigami King to add this rule that you can't buy or sell the Death Note, which would have been great to tell the main character, but we only have 87 pages, so I guess it had to end somehow, and it couldn't end happily. He tells Donald Trump what happens if he takes the Death Note. Donald Trump says he'll just lie. It was so funny because it was like something Donald Trump would do. He would say that, oh, I don't have the Death Note, or I do have the Death Note, but he really doesn't, just to bluff, and he would never kill himself because he only cares about himself. It was a nice like little jab, like a little meta commentary, which I think I like, depending on like how you look at it. If you don't want to be political or whatever, if that's not your shit, get out of here. He doesn't take it, Ryuk goes back, and then eventually the rule is like once you receive the money, then you gotta die, so then the main character dies in the end. And interesting enough, he's the second person to be written in Ryuk's notebook after Light. That was just interesting to see. Quickly summarizing some of my thoughts that I really loved about it. I loved all the callback to what happened during like the old Death Note, where he gets his memories back in the beginning, which was a nice callback. Seeing Nier, seeing Matsuda, seeing Ryuk again was really cool. But the overall cool thing was that it felt very Death Note. It was very high paced, and I think the thing that made it really high paced was the bidding and seeing everybody and how they interact with just like the thought of everybody getting the Death Note and what that means for the world, and how does that work in a world that's post-Kira, and everyone who wants to be Kira in that world, and how that works. And then I really like the main character, what he did at the end. He gave away a lot of the money and helped a lot of people, but in the end he died because of plot. So this brings me to the next part of what I really want to talk about, is like theories of like this being really popular, because it's like a day after, and this was trending on Twitter, which is wild because it's Death Note, but I mean it was actual Death Note, none of that movie bullshit. That means there could be a possibility of there being an anime or another manga revitalization, which I don't think there should be, but if there could be, there's like many ways that the author could hit it and it would just be just as great. It would give you like that feel of like Breaking Bad, the idea that I have. I'm thinking that like the main character could have to deal with money, because money seems to be like at the core of all of this. A lot of people are poor, or they need money to do things in their everyday life, and the main character happens to find the Death Note and he sells it, and we get around this stupid flaw of their, or plot of there having to be, if you buy the Death Note or sell the Death Note, then you gotta die. We get rid of that part, and we can probably get into a part where there's some like weird confrontation that happens during when he has to get the money, and he has to figure out how to like get out of that situation, and he ends up using the Death Note, and then he has to keep using the Death Note to keep himself alive, and all of these other situations, and it could evolve into something that's a little bit more, that has to deal with like the morality of like killing people to get money to help other people, a good thing, and make it like really ambiguous, the actions that he does and how he justifies them, which to a point could sound like a lot like the original Death Note, but just with money. I'm just like theorizing like ways in which it could have went. And maybe it could have been totally different. It could be like a heist thing, and like he uses the Death Note to throw off heist. Actually, no, that's really cheap and lame. I don't like that idea. But I like the one with the morality and the money type thing. It gives like a little bit more thought to a lot of his actions and makes you wonder, is he the good guy or the bad guy with the thing that he's doing? And in the end, he's just gonna have to die. It seems like that's the whole running trope of the Death Note, that you can't use it without actually dying. It kind of sucks that's the case. Those are like all of my running thoughts on it. I loved, like, these are just some side notes, but I loved the artwork in this. The cover art was amazing. Like, I just feel like like Takeshi Obata, he like just keeps leveling up and floors me every time with his art. It is so amazing, and I hope to get to that level one day. And that's why I was doing this fan art while you're watching this video, even though I never said that in the beginning, because I was so excited to talk about this, I kind of forgot to talk about the art. I hope you guys enjoyed the art. It was a really good chapter. It was really well paced. It was perfect for the amount of time that you had, just enough to get into the character. Some flaws I would say is just I couldn't really get that invested in the character, but I did enjoy him. He didn't have too many lines, and I really wonder what his motivation was through a lot of it. I guess he just wanted to help other people, but then he ended up hurting himself. I'm not exactly sure what the whole point of it was, but that, I guess, is up to the reader. So to figure out his intention, I guess his actions spoke with it because he gave it back to the people. But that's kind of hard to say in like only a short manga chapter. Maybe they'll bring it back as a spin-off, maybe they won't. All in all, Death Note is always great, and the writer is amazing. And that makes me think that I need to go check out Platinum of the End, because that's also a really great manga that I have not given a chance, and I really want to give a chance. So I should actually go check that out too. I think that's all I have to say for today. I'm really excited for this. I just wanted to make a quick video about it and just let out like all of my thoughts and like just a blah of things, because I had so many things to say and I've just been so hyped, and I really wanted to do this drawing because I haven't felt this inspired so much after reading a manga. And you know, it always happens after I read Death Note. Like, I remember when I was reading Death Note back in the day, and I just really enjoyed it a lot, and it made me really excited. After all that rambling and talking about a whole bunch of shit that was in the manga that I don't know why I even decided to talk about it, what did you guys think of it? Tell me, what did you think of the chapter? Did you like the ending? Did you not like the ending? Did you think Donald Trump should have got, you know, his name written in the Death Note or not? I don't know. It's one of those things that's up in the air depending on what kind of person you are. But what do you think should have happened at that point? How do you feel about this character? Do you think the show should go on? I have asked at least 4 to 5 different questions, all of which are way too many. I'm Vandal. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And you know, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Boy.